on the other side. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Logic Apps Live, August 2025. I'm Wagner Silveira. We have Kent and Park here hosting with me, and we have like a lot of the guests today. We also have Harold Campos from our product management team, and we have Kritika Singh, one of our guests from the community, and Andrew Eldridge from our engineering team. So you can see that we're going to have lots of people with lots of different topics. So feel free to say hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
And let's go.
Hey, guys.
Let's go to the agenda. So as usual, we're going to highlight our Race Aviator of the month, right? So that we keep highlighting the profiles of people that is being active in the community, that has been helping us or helping their community to strengthen all the information around integration, Logic Apps, AIS, and we have a new Race Aviator for this month. I'm going to talk super quick about some community updates. And then Harold is going to join us talking about hybrid logic apps, right? That is now GA. Kritika is going to be talking a little bit about the efforts that they're doing for BizTalk migration and showing some tips and tricks or practices there. Part is going to highlight some of the updates with the data mapper that is now GA. And I'm going to be talking with Andrew about Logic Apps Standard Deployment Center. that we're just making some updates there to help with some scenarios. So our ACE Aviator for the August was Jenny Anderson, that is the integration architect of the to every tech services. She's been quite active in the community. Like we always find them in conferences and quite active on LinkedIn. When I asked Jenny why community, right? She also she replied that like always received a lot of support from the community, especially when I was starting, and then because of that, she wanted to give it back. So that's something that we saw in lots of our ACE Aviators before, and seems like to reflect the what the community thinks. That is always good to give back because it's a really tight community that helps everyone. Another example is having a Critica here helping us with some content from the community. Right, when I was asking like the best tip for people that has just started, I think you can summarize in just on the first phrase: don't overthink, just start doing. Right, usually we go and think it's like but I don't know enough, there is other voices. Like adding more voices to the community is always good instead of the opposite. And finally, if I could have a magic wand of logic apps, Path is going to like that one. I wanted AI to automatically handle all the data mappings. Keep notes, Path, on that one. It's like doing all this working on mapping is usually the one of the hardest part of the integration work. So having some AI sprinkle on that is always good. If you wanted to read the whole interview and see what we did in August, you can go to Logic Apps Aviator /AUG25, and you're going to find the full interview there. Let's talk a little bit about some community updates. We've been talking about this for a couple of months now, but it's just reminding that the NIS, which is the Nordic Integration Summit, is coming on 20th and 21st of October. Like both me and Kent are going to be there, and they now share the roster of presenters, and we have people from Microsoft and a lot of people from community. So I think is going to be worth your time there. If you didn't register yet or is interested, you can go to the nordicintegrationsummit.com or just use our QR code, and you can find more information on how to register. Talking about the conferences, we are also going to have Logic Apps Community Day for 2025 coming on October 30th, so pretty much a week after that. As usual, there is going to be a live, a virtual event. We opening the call for speakers since I think a week or two ago, and we already have some really good sessions there. But we still wanted to get more sessions. So if you have anything, if you're interested in talking about Logic Apps items, especially around how you're using Logic Apps to create intelligent applications, or how you're using AI to improve your developer experience around Logic Apps and AIS, that's the you should be submitting a session for us, right? Remember that the call for speaker is open until Sunday, so you have another week or so to go, and we should be announcing the speakers after we do the selection the week after. If you wanted to find more information on how to register, you can go to aka.ms/LA Community Day 25/blog. So we explain a little bit about more about the themes and how to go and do your submission for speaking. I think that's all the items for Community Day, for community updates. Let me pass to Harold to talk about Logic Apps GA. Harold, do you want me to go directly to your screen, or do you want me to just share here?
So let me see if I have the content. I think I have the content ready. So I'll share it from here.
Perfect. So all yours.
Well, thank you, Wagner, and hello everyone. Recently we have shipped the hybrid Logic Apps deployment model as generally available, and we are looking forward for your feedback. So what is the Logic Apps hybrid deployment model you've been using, or you are aware that our past service, the Logic Apps standard, has been running for it's running for multiple mission critical customers, and it's running everywhere, right? And the thing is that a lot of the customers that are running today on-premises workloads, they ask us to provide this software that will allow them to run on-premises. Also, BizTalk customers as well, right? So BizTalk customers, as they consider modernizing from their legacy BizTalk workloads, they were looking for a way to have Logic Apps running on premises or in any other data center, but mostly on premises. So that's why we came up with a hybrid model. And the hybrid deployment model allows Logic Apps to run where you want it to run, right? It can be locally, it can be in any other data center, and it runs in a semi-disconnected mode, which means that you still need to provide tracing information, logging information through an ARC agent, but all of the processing is local. So none of your data will be leaving your data center or the place where you want it to run, right? And along with the hybrid deployment model, we have also shipped a couple of connectors, the Confluent Kafka connector and the RabbitMQ connector, that allow you to support these local messaging scenarios. That adds to the IBM MQ connector that it's available on premises or in the cloud in Logic Apps standard, and also the Apache ActiveMQ connector that we are working on for JMS-based workloads. So we're hoping that we will be providing a private preview for the ActiveMQ connector or JMS connector, and we will be sharing some details as to how is it that you can have access to it. But basically, with all of these components, Logic Apps can run anywhere, right? I mean, this morning we released a blog where we indicate how is it that it can run in K3s, right, in Rancher. So you can have, even if you have IoT devices, you can run it on those devices if they are running K3s. So now, getting into the high-level concepts of hybrid, we have the main concept of a connected cluster, which is basically a projection of your an Azure projection of your Kubernetes infrastructure. Along with that, you have a cluster extension, which is a sub-resource of the connected cluster resource that installs the required resources into your connected cluster. So, in other words, it creates the bridge that will allow this interaction in this hybrid mode. There is a concept of a custom location, which bundles together a group of extensions and maps them into a namespace for creator resources that will be recognized when you do operations in the cluster, and the container apps connected environment that enables the configuration of the common across apps but not related to the cluster operation. So all of these components, they work together to provide this seamless experience for you locally, right, while still maintaining these logging/tracing interaction with the cloud. The hybrid experience is fairly similar to the standard experience. So basically, when you create a Logic app, you will have all of the options for consumption and standard, the workflow service plan, the app service environment v3, and also the hybrid one. And then you will be asked to provide some information. You will have to enter the SQL Server information. Why SQL Server? Because we are using SQL Server as a runtime for storing for runtime purposes. right? And for storing all of the data that is relevant for runtime. And this is interesting because for some customers, this is even more convenient because some customers are fully vested on SQL Server and have hefty SQL Server configurations, so then they have more flexibility as to what performance can provide from a runtime perspective. And for artifacts, we use a server message blocks SMB file share, right, where we store all of the artifacts that are required to for the workflows and configuration settings. Then we create the Logic App Hybrid, and we provide some additional information about the ingress traffic, the ingress type, transport, type of security provided for the connections. And one important thing to mention is that, and this is a frequently asked question, is where does it run? So which Kubernetes configurations are supported? And we support any Arc-enabled Kubernetes cluster. We have a list. We have a list of Arc-enabled clusters that are supported, but basically, this list is growing, right? And we invite you to use to test the feature, to test this deployment model, right? We are sure that you will love it because each Logic Apps standard where you want it to be using a runtime that is adapted to your environment. So currently, the supported regions for Arc are the following, the ones that are in the list. We also provide some scripts available for you to use to make it easier to deploy your own hybrid environment. There is one script that is called environment setup.ps1 PowerShell available at this location. This is the one that you have to use to set up your environment. And the troubleshoot.ps1 is a script that you use to capture information on how things are running. If you run into an issue, so then it will provide you information as to what are the things that can be failing. We will be very happy to hear from you, right? And you can come back to this video, and then you can write some comments there. You can email us, or you can reach out to us via the blog or LinkedIn, right? We keep publishing articles about these the new features in LinkedIn and in the blog and everywhere else. So and with this, I wanted to introduce Kritika Singh. So she's been instrumental in our BizTalk migration initiative, and I think the first time we spoke, Kritika, was it about a year ago, I think, and this is some information about her, right? So we're happy to have her, that she has accepted to participate in today's session. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you take control, Kritika.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi everyone. Okay, so just to give an introduction about myself, Kritika Singh, and I'm working for Capgemini Norway as an integration architect and a senior consultant. I'm originally from India, but I'm located in Stavanger, Norway. Today I will walk through to you the modernization journey for one of our clients from Microsoft BizTalk to Azure Logic Apps using app service environment. This transformation has been pivotal in aligning with our customer cloud-first strategies and unlocking scalability and performance in their landscape. So I will just take you through the agenda. Okay. So we'll go through the modernization journey, the background, why we did this modernization for them, the success story, the architecture, legacy BizTalk versus Azure iPaaS, migration plan, challenges which we encountered during this migration, and the solutions we implemented for that, key challenges during transitions and the strategies for this modernization, and where we are today, what we are doing, and what were the benefits of this migration, and final tips and takeaways. So I would like to walk through a little background why we migrated. The BizTalk position in the customer IT landscape. We have all known Microsoft BizTalk has served us well for years, but it was increasingly marked as careful in the customer's IT landscape due to lack of clear future roadmap, made it in a careful platform to continue investing in. This uncertainty prompted us to explore more sustainable and forward-looking alternatives. There was also client digital aspirations, move to cloud initiative. The client broader digital transformation strategy centered around a move to cloud initiative was a major driver for this modernization. They wanted to modernize their integration landscape to align with cloud native principles, improve agility, and future proofing solutions. There was also one more reason, high maintenance cost and aging infrastructure. The existing on-premise infrastructure was aging and costly to maintain. Frequent patching, dependencies, and manual deployments were slowing down the innovation and increasing operational overhead. Demand for modern and scalable cloud solutions. Everything was moving to cloud, and to have like scalable solutions, it was best to move from on-premise towards cloud. Success story. There was growing need of scalable, secure, and so as part of this modernization, we accomplished transformative journey by migrating BizTalk critical applications from on-premise to Azure and Azure DRM. So there were two platforms which we were maintaining. One was on-premise and one was Azure DRM, where we hosted the BizTalk Server 2020, and we had few applications running on-premise, few applications on cloud and DRM on BizTalk. And we migrated all of these applications to Azure AIS using app service environment. Now, this strategic move enabled us to achieve enhanced scalability, improved performance, and a model agile architecture, all while realizing significant cost savings. In alignment with clients' cloud strategy, we begin with comprehensive assessment of their existing on-premise integrations. We identified dependencies, crafted a detailed migration roadmap to Azure IPaaS. There were 100 plus applications running on-premise, which were in BizTalk, SSIS in different areas, and we migrated all of this to Azure integration services like Logic Apps, Data Factory, Service Bus. 60 plus integrations were migrated to Microsoft Azure Logic App Standard, and more than 50 plus applications were migrated to Service Bus from IBM MQ as well. From BizTalk, we also migrated to Azure Data Factory. Few of the applications were also decommissioned. So this modernization plan has also led us to identify and decommission unused applications. All applications were hosted in dedicated app service environment, which provided static IB, enhanced security, and better performance compared to multi-tenant environments. We also implemented automated deployments and ensured disaster recovery readiness using CI/CD pipelines, which significantly improved operational efficiency. So this modernization has led to substantial cost savings by eliminating stock licenses, the ability to scale dynamically, and reduced infrastructure maintenance. Just going back to the old architecture, the legacy BizTalk architecture versus the Azure IPaaS architecture. So on the left, we see the traditional BizTalk architecture. So this is like the customer landscape, what they had earlier, which included multiple BizTalk servers. One is like the active one, the another, the North Europe, is the passive one. So we had to maintain like both the environments, and there used to be a sync between the database from primary to secondary for the disaster recovery. So this whole infrastructure costed a lot. And on the right-hand side, what we see is the modern Logic App architecture built on Azure IPaaS, which enabled us to seamless integration with other Azure services and future-proofing solution. And with app service environment, we were able to achieve like the network security. So it starts with external sources connecting through Azure API with secures and exposes services. So ASC3, the app service environment, has played a key role in providing isolation and performance, whereas Logic App Workflow Engine supported Azure functions in a rich set of connectors. Moving on to the migration plan. So before starting with the migration, we came up with the roadmap and the plan, what exactly we are going to do. So this is just a slide, what I'm adding here, the Excel screenshot, how we have planned the number of applications, who is going to work on those applications, what is the message size of that application, how many messages we are receiving based on message frequency. And then we are deciding the number of plans required and which application will go under which plan, what is the source of that application, and what is the destination of that application. So this thorough assessment helped us to decide the architecture and the number of plans we will need to implement this application for better performance and scalability. So we focused on in the below part, if you see. So we started with stakeholder communication and feedback. So we involved the stakeholder in the early stage just to understand what is the need from them, if they want to need that application or if they want the decommissioning, and if there are any enhancement also they need. We have assessed all the applications and gathered all the artifacts, designed the architecture. We also did security risk assessment of each of the service which we are going to use, prepare this plan along with complexity, message size, and frequency, and performed proof of concepts of all the artifacts which we are going to implement in this Azure environment: schemas, maps, orchestrations, the design patterns, the different type of connectors which we are going to connect to, like SAP systems, RFC, iDocs, and multiple. The challenges what we encountered during this migration. There were initially a lot of challenges. We started in very early stage, like 2022, and the Logic App standard was not matured enough. We started with the ISE, but it got deprecated midway, and then we went to app service environment architecture. The major challenge we faced with was the on-premise access, because the SAP built-in connector was not available, and we went ahead with on-premise data gateway, which has some limitations. We also faced some issue with the file system connector mounting errors. There were transformation performance issues with the large files. That time, no support was there for the external assemblies. Design patterns, a long processing time for batch messages, as well as singleton workflows. There was a limitation with user-defined and system-assigned identity in app settings. You cannot use both of them together. And monitoring limitations, we did not have centralized monitoring and difficult to resubmit bulk field instances. I think all of those are now already been taken, and we have those features available now. But that time, we have implemented some solution for these challenges. We created custom solutions and used file share manage connector. We modified and refactored XSLT to remove external assemblies or used function apps instead of that. We have refactored applications to achieve similar or better performance than BizTalk using other Azure services like Service Bus for correlation and Azure Table Storage for batching. Designed error logging in such a way to collect all application error in a single log table. So this gave us a centralized view for all the failed messages. So also to add, we plan to use integration service environment. Okay, I cannot go back, but I want to add. So just to add there, we plan to use integration service environment for VNet, but it was deprecated. And some complex BizTalk apps actually performed better than Logic apps initially, required careful optimization and a lot of refactor work. Now, the transition challenges what we faced during this migration. It was a legacy architecture, lack of skills in Azure integration services, complexity for the applications to be migrated because a lot of design patterns were involved, collaboration and getting availability with more than 200 plus stakeholders. BizTalk handled batch and correlation heavy applications efficiently. For large application, there were too many variables created, which made the flow too lengthy and difficult to manage in Azure. So the strategies what we implemented was the design the modern and cloud native architecture. We have trained the upskilled our integration services team to ensure adequate knowledge and skills for the migration process, conducted a thorough assessment of all our integrations. We collaborated with the customer in very early stage. We had kickoff sessions with the customers to give them overview about our migrations, why we are doing this migration, where we are moving, and all the details, what services we are using, and about all the details about all the services. Performance and tuning, we redesigned the solutions which were performing poorly in the new environment, and huge workflows. We used Compose to initialize multiple variables and chunk the workflows to nested workflows. So where we are today, since Logic App has matured a lot since we completed the migration. We completed migration in 2024, mid of 2024, and now we see that it has matured a lot post that. And now we are implementing a lot of new features which are coming up. We are doing proof of concept and how we can use those to optimize our existing workflows. How this migration has benefited customer, it improved isolation and performance. API management has even secured and exposing services to partners. Service was managing design patterns, reduced infrastructure maintenance. It is now a lot easier to integrate with any of the other cloud services. Cost savings relies through no license, scaling features, and reduced infrastructure overhead. And there was a significant cost saving for the customer, around 1 million NOK. This is an approximate figure. Okay, I think my screen sharing has stopped, but just a final tips and takeaways from this. Stay updated. Azure evolves rapidly, and it's crucial to stay informed about service changes like deprecation and which can impact architecture decisions. Design for flexibility, build modular and flexible architectures that can adapt to future needs. This ensures scalability and easier integration with emerging services. Evaluate early. Before starting migration, evaluate available connectors, features, and their limitations. This helps avoid surprises and ensures like smoother implementation. Engage with the cross-functional teams across your IT landscape. Involve your stakeholders from governance to operations so that you are aligned on performance, security, and compliance. Optimize continuously. Since there are a lot of new features coming from the Logic App product team, it is always good to go back and look at your solutions and try to create a proof of concept and optimize your solutions. So right now we are trying to fine tune our workflows. We are monitoring the performance, and we have like 360 view of our applications. Yeah, thank you. And the last things, share success stories. So sharing your journey helps build momentum and encourages adoption across teams, and it also fosters a culture of learning and innovation among others. Thank you.
Unmute. This is fantastic. Thanks a lot, Kritika. So I think this is a wonderful testament of what you've been doing and how is it that your customer is realizing the value of migrating from BizTalk server to Logic Apps and Azure Integration Services. Parth or Wagner, over to you.
So all yours. Parth, you're on mute.
Sorry for that. I was
No
trying
worries,
to.
man.
Yeah. So thanks, Wagner. Thanks, Kritika, for being a part of this as well. Yeah, there's some great feedback around data mapping that we've been receiving for the past couple of months, especially since public preview. We've made quite a few improvements, and just a couple, like I think a few weeks ago, we went GA, which basically means that the new experience will be the default experience. And just so everyone is on the same page, this data mapper, which is a part of the Logic App standard extension, has already been GA, but we made a significant improvement on the user experience after hearing user feedback. So, yep, I think that is a new default experience. So please do try it out. We have received quite a few bits of feedback around providing documentation, even missing capabilities. So that I will talk about in just a second. But for what right now we've released, the support for both light and dark theme is live on VS Code. Key blocker issues that we heard from customers and also that you reported on GitHub on the open repository for Logic Apps UX. So thank you so much for that. And we did identify some of those and ended up resolving 4 to 5 of them that were blocking customers to be able to create the maps according to their scenarios. For complex schemas, especially idocs from SAP or even like EDI schemas that are quite lengthy. So we want to make sure that those are supported and there are no quite any latency issues, performance issues on one hand, and also to make sure that the mapper is able to handle such payload when you're using the particular mapper action. So that's currently also ongoing. And just so folks know, we do have a repository that I can paste in the chat, but it's for just demos. So if you have some maps you're working with and if they're like non-proprietary, we would love to just have them as samples that people can use. I'll paste that link in just a second, but the announcement is up and it also has the feedback link. That's a form, so you can provide us some feedback so we can even do some one-on-ones with you and make sure that your feedback is heard. And more importantly, also we have the Logic Apps UX GitHub, right? So please feel free to file anything that you see missing as a gap. For roadmap, we have quite a long list, but here are the top 5 things that have screamed out to me after even integrate. And we wanted to make sure that, first of all, when you do data mapping in BizTalk, you're able to handle multiple root nodes, even with reference schemas involved. Currently, that's a pain with the data mapping experience we have today. So we'll be able to allow you to be able to visualize that schema and also be able to select the root node. Smart mapping, this is the key one. It's going to save a lot of time. And what we're realizing here is that there is really not quite a huge need for people to go onto the canvas and do all of this drag and drop experience that we have. What would really ease, right, I think a lot of effort from the user's end is to just have maybe some suggestion around being able to have a source and destination and generating some XSLT and LML behind the scenes. Maybe a layer up that we are also thinking is that you can even add your Excel doc, which I think a lot of users use for creating the mappings, right? So behind the scenes, it will automatically do the use the functions, built-in functions for you and provide the mapping. So just want to make sure that is on the radar for us. Supporting editing for BizTalk XSLT maps. So currently you cannot generate LML. It's not backwards compatible if you have a BizTalk XSLT 1.0 map. You can run the map, you can plug and play, but I think if you want to edit it, it's not possible. So we're looking into how we can maybe generate that LML behind the scenes. Creating flat file from CSVs, this is also a big pain point because currently we support transformation from JSON to XML, XML to XML, JSON to JSON, and so forth. But yeah, that is something that if we bring in the minimal experience of VS 2019 extension pack that is there, enterprise integration pack, that has a wizard experience. So we'll see on that, and demos on building functions. So A lot of collection functions, date time functions. We're hearing some requests on it, so there is announcements queued up. So stay tuned on that. And without taking much time, I will just show you guys a quick glimpse of the current experience. So I may start from even saying that, hey, like, you don't really have to go to the Azure tab and like create the data map. All you really have to do is right click on the maps and create a data map from now. You can just name whatever that is and be able to select your source and destination, and you should have the map ready to go. Obviously, we want to reduce the overload on the canvas, so smart mapping may help here. But I already have a map that I was working with, and I've used quite a few of the built-in functions to just automate some of the logic here. So yeah, I think please feel free to use the functions and provide us feedback. Currently, you can save, and you can also obviously test the map. There is a little lack of room here, and also the experience could be fleshed out to a point where you can upload a file to test. Something that we are looking into as we continue investing in this. So yep, I think that's all I really had. So yeah, please let us know what do you think of the experience, and share your honest feedback on the link that's provided.
Thanks, Parth. And it's interesting when you're talking about the data mapper, because one of the things that we've been doing as part of the unit test side is trying to find out how we can going to be able to automate the test of those maps as well, passing the inputs and outputs. So really soon, not only will be able to have the data mapper manual testing for you to do your normal debugging, but if you wanted to test multiple scenarios, you would be able to automate that. It's interesting because Andrew, that is here to show the deployment center, is actually working actively on this feature for us on the unit testing side, right? So just to give to show like how much of the work that we're doing is overlapping and coming together. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Logic Apps deployment center. So we know that the deployment center, which is available for Logic Apps functions, app services, has been there for a while, but we never put a lot of support on the deployment center. People needed to find through their own experiences how it would work, right? So we're trying to now solve this, giving some guidance, but also taking in consideration that we're already doing some work around proper CI/CD pipelines. So try to differentiate when to use deployment center, when to try to use some of the other features that are there. So in the end, deployment center now is another option for code deployment in Logic Apps Standard. And I think that's that point is important, because what we're trying to show here is that we're trying to not bring all the types of deployments that you might need to do on a very complex pipeline, right? We wanted to get those scenarios where I pretty much just wanted to make sure that when I push my changes in code to the repository, it comes and updates my application and updates all those references and things that you might need. So it's aimed to simpler deployments, right? It's focused mainly on the updated of the code and the configuration changes versus automating infrastructure deployment, including connectors, building of more complex components like the custom code and things like that. But the way that we're working with this is it requires a script, right, for to manage that, and also requires you to have like some of your settings at least identified in a way that you know that what we can provide to the application, or to the that we know from the script what needs to be changed. So Andrew is really soon going to be showing that process on similar to what we're doing with Azure DevOps pipelines. We now will be able to create an Azure Deployment Center deployment script and start using that. Just as I was saying before, a couple of limitations for now, right? And then that is going to be based on your feedback on how much do we need to extend this. The first one is that we don't have support for Azure connector deployments. When you're working with Deployment Center, we're assuming that your infrastructure is dealt out of band from this side, right? You already deploy infrastructure. We already have ways to create the connectors on demand as you need it, but we're going to take the reference of those connectors and apply, making all the changes that are required. And similar to that, custom code deployment is not supported on the scripts out of the box. Having said that, one thing that you're going to notice, and Andrew maybe can open the script and dissect a little bit of what we have there. It is pretty much a PowerShell script that you're using for that deployment. That means that if you wanted to get your own solutions for connectors and custom code, you might try to insert it there. But we're not doing that by default. And what we support on this version of the tool is deployment of your workflow changes and your configuration changes. With that in mind, let's share Andrew's screen, and he should be able to show you a little bit about that.
All right, thank you, Wagner. Yeah, so I'm just going to do a quick demo of the deployment center. Wagner gave a pretty good description of it. Basically, it's generally used for simpler projects, which you don't need the entire IAC pipeline set up for. We do have two prerequisites here, which is that you have basic SCM auth enabled on your Logic app, and then also that you have a user assigned managed identity on your Logic app, which has a Logic app standard contributor role on your resource group. And that's so that we can manage the connections during the deployment.
Andrew, would it be possible just to zoom in a little bit or increase the size of your font, please?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good enough?
Maybe one more. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, so I'm just going to go ahead and fulfill those prerequisites really quick. So you can go to the configuration section for the basic SCM auth option. It should just be under general settings. I'm just going to enable that really quick. And this is so that we can establish the webhook connection to the repository. And once that's done, I actually have already created a managed identity and added it to my Logic app here. So all I need to do is go on the resource group and make sure that has the correct role assigned to it. So the one we're looking for is Logic app standard contributor. This one. And now that that's done, our prerequisites are fulfilled. So the easiest way to go about getting your project that's already deployed in Portal into a local workspace so that you can generate your deployment scripts is to use our cloud to local feature. So that would involve downloading app content here. And then there's an option to import it if I open VS Code. I've actually already done that for this project, but just for the sake of demonstration, I would just download the app content, and then there's an option right here to import the package. So once this is done, I have my entire project right here. I just have a simple workflow with nothing but a trigger inside of it right now.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
Same thing here. Maybe a cup of Control Plus.
Yeah. Sorry. I actually think my key bindings are changed on this, so I might have to go to View, Zoom. All right, let me just do that one more time. All right. Is this good enough? All right. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to add one managed connector here just so we can see an example of what the deployment scripts might do. So I'm going to add an Outlook connector. There should be one. Send an email. Here we go. And it's just going to ask me to connect really quick. All right, so once that's done, I'll go ahead and save that, and we can see if I go over to my project, it should create the connections file. We can disregard that for now. But anyways, that's here now, and what I need to do is I need to create some deployment scripts for this. So I'll go to the Logic app and click Generate Deployment Scripts. We have our existing IAC option here under Azure DevOps Pipeline, but the one we're looking for is Azure Deployment Center. So after I select that, it should prompt me to select a deployed Logic app, which I want to sync with this workspace here. And that would be the one I was just showing in Portal a second ago. It'll also ask me to select the managed identity, which currently exists on that Logic app, which I want to use for authentication during the deployment of resources. So I'm going to select that one as well. And since I was asked to show this really quick, this is the script, or an example of one of the scripts you could generate. Basically, we just get a token here. We go through and update a number of things. So first is any app settings that might be changed, your connection ACLs for all the different managed API connections. And then it'll pick up workflows and other relevant files here, and it'll copy those to your WW root inside the Kudu console. So, and that's basically what all this stuff down here is.
So
yeah,
that's what I was saying, that this deployment scripts, we only take care of that. But if customers wanted to extend that before with previous steps for them to do the other things that we're not doing on this on that, you should be able to extend.
Right.
Because after you do that initial deployment, the only thing that we needed is that deploy the script.ps1 is available for the deployment center to run, right? So it's extendable. People can go and make changes if they need it to apply to those extra scenarios.
All right. And yep, so now that this is done, we can go ahead and push it to our source control so that we can see an example deployment. So this is the wrong folder. Let me just make sure it has everything needed here. It should all be set up correctly by default. So I'll go ahead and commit that. And then let me go ahead and find a repo I set up earlier to push this to. Oh, whoops. All right, I can now see the workspace is in the repo. So now we just need to go to Deployment Center and set up the webhook to target that. So just right over here. So we support a number of things here: Azure repos, local Git, Bitbucket, and GitHub. You can use any of them, which I have this app service build service provider on them, which is what we're going to be using. I have my account selected here, and I'm just going to select the details for that repo. and it should take just a minute. But as soon as this is set up, it should automatically sync, even without a push, just for the first time this is set up. So you can see it's starting to run a deployment here. In the future, any future pushes you make to the repository will automatically trigger a new deployment. And also, if you come back to this tab and click sync, it'll trigger a new deployment as well. So we should just need to give it a minute and this will complete. All right, looks like deployment was successful and there's some logs here. So all that I changed that I just showed just now was adding the one managed connector. So it shows updating the access policies here. It also updated any changes to app settings, but those weren't updated in this instance. It also detected the one workflow that it needed to update as well. So, and we can just go through the project and verify really quick that those changes took place and were deployed properly. So if I go to connections, I should see connected status on my Office 365 connection. So that's correct. And then if I go to workflows, I should see the new action I've just added here. Yep. So this is just a simpler form of continuous deployment that can be used as an alternative to existing IAC pipelines or custom pipelines. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. And one thing that I think that might be interesting of people as well. Can you go back to the project and show what we did with the settings, how we persist in settings, but making sure that we're not taking any of the actual keys and things on that.
Right. So you want to see the difference between the local settings and cloud settings and where the secrets are removed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for instance, we have some connection keys down here. This is the one secret value we have in here, but it won't be included in your cloud settings. Local settings is obviously included in your git ignore. So none of this stuff will be pushed to source control. And we just create a kind of clean version of it in order to use for the deployments.
Yeah. So that's one of the important things. We're creating that cloud.settings.json. That one creates like a clone of all the items that we need, right? We don't copy Office connection key. We don't copy the key because we know that in this case, there is something that is only using locally. So behind the scenes, when you're doing that deployment, we also take care of converting the authentication from raw to managed identity. But if you have secrets in your local settings that you needed to push to the source control, with that the keys needs to be pushed source control, you don't want it to push secrets to source control. We're going to be making sure that on the cloud settings, you have all those app settings available for you to then point that to a key vault reference, or it is going to be deployed with empty values, and you have to do a manual step after that to make the changes, right? But that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that we didn't have. Like a lot of people was saying, I needed to manage all the local settings by myself, like creating that cloud settings or settings.json or something. So we're taking care of that, and we're making sure that we try to add this as a feature by itself on the projects. So creating the cloud settings in a way that you can use on your project day to day, and you can sync between local and cloud settings. So that's some work that is going to be coming later on. Can we go back to the presentation? Cool. Andrew, thanks. Like as well as always, super slick demo, right? Like nice to the point and no failures. Totally different from mine, right? And probably going to bring you back as soon as we have automated testing for Data Mapper, which was like a little a sneak peek here on that. So let me go back to my presentation and finish. If you needed to learn more, you can go to aka.ms/LA Deployment Center, and that you're going to have a blog post with the announcement, a lot of those things that we detailed here about limitations and things that you needed, but also a link to the documentation. So all of the things that Andrew did on the demo, you can find that step by step for it. And I think now we have Q&A. I know that it was at least one question on the. There was at least one question. Yes, that question from Soren. Is storage account key access deprecated on the Logic Apps standard? Do you have any links for the announcement? So that is not being deprecated, but what you're doing when you're creating a new Logic Apps standard now is by default, we asking you to use managed identity just because it's more secure. That doesn't mean like existing applications are going to be breaking. We also have some documentation on how do you go and change that from keys, storage keys to managed identity, right? So don't be afraid that it's not being deprecated and you have to do a lot of changes. It's just like we're trying to be secure by default. If there is any other questions, please add. We have a little bit of time.
So just since we have a little bit of time, so shameless plug here, but people do stay tuned to the integration blog or the Logic Apps blog in the next, week and a half. A lot of announcements rolling out related to agent loop improvements. And last month we showed some MCP type functionality. I'd be looking for that information as well. So a lot of great stuff coming. So stay tuned, and definitely we'll get this all showed on the next Logic Apps Live at the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
But wanted to make sure people were aware that there's some really interesting stuff coming. So, including
some labs, if I'm not wrong, right?
Well, that too. Yeah, there's some additional content and hands-on
Shameless
stuff.
plug as well.
Yeah, no, it's lots coming. So, and back to that Nordic Integration Summit, there'll be lots of things to show and talk about there. So if you're in the region, definitely get your tickets because that'll be quite the show.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I think that's us for today. Thanks for all the guests. It's really good to share the love and not hear just Wagner or Kent or Pat talking, right? So it was good to have like a lot of different people here today. And if you're interested in presenting something, get in touch with us, and we can always discuss.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks all, and see you in end of September.